Everyone has fallen victim to peer pressure at some point in their life, whether it ended up being a positive in the long run or it was an all around negative experience. No matter what experience you have had with peer pressure, everyone can relate to the feeling of helplessness that you have when someone else convinces you to do something that you don't want to do. That was the feeling that I felt on a cool, overcast summer day when I was in elementary school. The day had started normal enough with me and two of my friends walking over to the park near my house. As we walked over to the park, we felt small drops of rain splashing down on our heads, and they sounded like a million tiny footsteps as they bounced off of us. The grass squeaked under our feet as we strutted through the undergrowth. We were walking for a while when I asked, "Are we there yet?" "Almost," replied one of my friends. It was another few moments until I saw it. It was the most hideous tree I had ever seen. I was staring at a huge crabapple tree, its branches speckled with raindrops like a fine piece of jewelry embedded with gemstones. As we walked closer, the rain slowed to a halt, and I could hear birds chirping in the trees around us. As we drew closer to the tree, I remembered why we were here. My friends and I had started a club, or as we called it, a cult. The only way to join the club was to eat a bite of one of the scraggly apples that grew on the tree. I stared up at the tree. Its canopy blocked out the sun, and it was rather dark under it. I saw some apples growing on a low branch, and I plucked one from the tree. I looked at it and weighed the pros and cons of eating the apple. On one hand, I could get into a lot of trouble for eating the apple. I could even get sick. But on the other hand, it would allow me to join the club, and at my age at the time, the pros would definitely outweigh the cons. As I moved the apple closer to my mouth, I could hear thunder rumbling in the distance. I glanced up at my friends, and I could see them eagerly waiting for me to take a bite. I looked back at the apple, and I took a big bite. No sooner had the apple touched my lips, I regretted it. I had realized that I had ignored my better judgment because my friends wanted me to take a bite. I didn't know back then, but I had just experienced peer pressure. The moments that followed went by in a blur. I remember telling my mom about what I ate when I got home. I also remember getting grounded. I had certainly learned my lesson. I've regretted this day ever since it happened. Later, my mom found out that some crab apples can even be poisonous, so I'm lucky that I did not get sick or worse. Even though I made a terrible choice that day, it taught me a lot. The most important thing was that as a person, you need to be mindful of peer pressure, and you need to think about the repercussions and consequences of exhibiting peer pressure on others. Sometimes it can be hard to tell if you're forcing a peer to do something that they don't want to do, especially if you're with other friends. It is really important to notice this so you don't hurt your friends without realizing it. Over the years, I have learned that peer pressure can sometimes be good, especially when it is pushing you out of your comfort zone and forcing you to do things that will benefit you, such as presenting an assignment or performing a song on stage. After all this, I think that peer pressure is something that more people have to keep an eye out for because, good or bad, you never know if it's going to happen to you.